I had a few questions from people who had watched my last video about what to do if you're having problems when you feel like you've set everything up the right way, but you're still not getting any results. Your birds don't seem to be actively mating, they're not going in the box, producing eggs, raising babies, all that stuff. So as long as your basics are covered, meaning you have a cuttle bone in the cage, you have oyster shell grit in there, you're offering good quality finch seed, free choice, you're offering obviously fresh clean water all the time. Another important thing is you need to give your birds fresh food every single day, especially when you're breeding them, but I do it all year round. It's very important. I don't do any kind of austere diet or molting diet where I don't give them fresh food at any point during the season. The lighting's not very good in here because it's afternoon time, so it's really hard to appreciate how nice looking they are, but I don't ever slack off on the fresh food. I give them shredded carrots, shredded kale, and hard-boiled eggs every single day. I give it to them in the morning, and I take it out in the afternoon. It can't stay in the cage for more than a couple hours. If you're going to prepare a bunch of it, you could keep it in the fridge for a day or two, but after that, I would toss it. That's really important. So if you're not doing that, that's something you definitely want to do. If you can't get your Gouldians to eat fresh food, then prepare some of the shredded kale, shredded carrots, and hard-boiled eggs, and crumble some millet spray seeds in there. They'll kind of peck at the millet spray seeds, and they'll inadvertently eat some of the other food. They'll come to find it's not so bad. I've gotten all my birds to eat fresh food from that method, and most of them came to me older, and they didn't want to eat any fresh food at all. Another thing is you need to have unlimited crushed eggshell in their cage. When you make it, it looks like this. It's just from, you can use chicken eggs you get from the market. I happen to have pet chickens, so I use their eggs. Crack open the eggs, bake them in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, just to get them to dry out, kill any bacteria on there. You don't want them to turn brown or anything like that. That needs to be offered in the cage, free choice, preferably all the time. See, just in a little dish like that next to the grit. They will devour that. That's really important. Another thing is your nesting box choice. You can use any of these. This one's fine. This one's fine. These are, any one your bird will use is fine. I've had success with Gouldians in all of these boxes. The wicker box, I've had Gouldians raise tons of babies in there. It depends on what they want. They don't read the book, so they really choose whatever works best for them. Temperature is important. The temperature of your bird room where they're breeding, it has to be at least 70, 72 degrees. You might read stories or hear people say they, bred birds at the bird room went down to 65 degrees. They never had a problem. But if you're having issues, then you want to set yourself up to succeed. And that's one of the things that I would do. I actually run a really, really gentle heater in my bird room during the breeding season, just to keep it around 75, 76 degrees. And that really seems to help. So that might be something you might want to do if you're having issues. This is my eclectus. Obviously, this is not a finch. Just want to show her off a little bit. Another thing that I would really suggest to you is to consider the pairing of your birds. Some birds are not compatible, but I have not really found that to happen a lot. I haven't had a ton of finches that would refuse to breed just because they didn't like each other for whatever reason. It is true what they say, birds with the same color face mask, they do seem to gravitate towards each other a lot of times, so that might be something you want to consider, but it's not necessary, certainly not mandated. People breed all different kinds of Gouldians with each other, greenbacks to yellowbacks and red face to black face, so, don't get hung up on that, but just something that I've heard and read. And lastly, but probably the most important thing is you have to leave them alone. You can't always be checking on them and looking in the box, and I don't even vacuum or sweep. I mean, I keep my birds all in this bedroom here. So it's not too bad if I don't sweep the floor every day. I mean, I don't have guests coming in here, but you can't be vacuuming around their cage and always bothering them. They need solitude and peace, and they really require your absence at a certain point. Once you've got them set up with all of their nutritional needs, you're giving them their fresh food in the morning, you're making sure they have fresh water, and then you're not bothering them the rest of the day. If your birds start to go in the nest and you think there might be eggs in there, you have to resist the urge to look, at least for a few days. And really pay attention to their behavior. If they seem really flighty and like they're super uncomfortable with your presence, then you need to be really careful about how much you clean and how much maintenance you do around the cage. start off, probably by putting them in a room that's going to be quiet and low traffic. So hopefully you don't need to do any kind of busy work around them at that time. Aside from that, I really, really am hoping that some of you will have some better luck with your pairings. And, some people are still breeding. I'm done for the year. I really think that their breeding season in the Northern Hemisphere, I live in the Northeast, United States, and I really feel that their breeding season is over. It's almost summer. Well, it's spring here. So, it's, for me, their breeding season is over. I really wish you guys a lot of luck. Have patience. It's really hard to resist, always going and checking out their nesting box and checking on them. But remember to give them their space. As long as you've met all their nutritional needs, their temperature is nice and warm, and daylight, you could potentially increase their daylight hours. That is something that a lot of people feel very strongly about with breeding birds. I've never really used like a ton of artificial lighting, but I do use full spectrum lighting for my birds. But I just kind of turn it on in the morning when I wake up, and I turn it off before I go to bed. It's not on timers or anything like that. And I've never had an issue. But if you're having problems, something you might want to look into, potentially setting some full spectrum light bulbs on a timer and having your birds, potentially 13 to 14 hours of sunlight a day. That also might help them get in the mood to breed. So I wish you guys a lot of luck. If there's any specific questions, you can definitely ask me, and I might be able to address it more directly. But if you've got, what I covered here is really the basics. I wish you all a lot of luck, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot.